I thought it was
Okay, we're going to start. I want to apologize for the fact that the badge box and the bell are safely being taken care of in my closet at home. And they will return next week. Welcome everybody to Rotary. We're filling up the chairs, and I'm sure we're going to have a couple more people coming in. We got a lot to do, so we're going to get started. And plus, I can't eat today. I had a filling done about 2 hours ago, and they said, no problem, you'll be able to eat in a couple hours. That's a problem. you can't do it. So if I can't eat, well, go ahead and eat.
Can we? We can start?
Yeah, you can go ahead and eat. Lots and lots to do, but we're going to start with our invocation by Doug, who is about to pack up and head off to wherever, and I'll let him tell the story after he does our invocation. Doug, can you give us the invocation?
Will everyone join me in the Rotary prayer? Open our eyes that we may see, open our ears that we may hear, touch our hearts that we may love, clear our minds that we may think, strengthen our hands that we may work. Amen.
Let's hear what's the next couple of weeks you're going to have in store for the Doris family.
Well, let me go back a couple months.
Okay.
We got our house ready, and we put it on the market on February the 3rd. We hired a really top-notch guy.
Who was that?
And he sold it in 3.5 days. So then we headed out to St. Louis, and we looked and looked and looked, and we looked at a lot of houses. And my wife and I said, well, let's not settle. We'll get this thing done, and we'll live in our RV for a while. So we're going to take out in our RV next Thursday, actually Friday morning, and go down to Myrtle Beach, recuperate a little bit from this move, and then head out west. I'm hoping to get as far as Moab, Utah. That's my goal. And then head on back over to St. Louis and try to find a house. But I want to thank everybody here. This has been one of the best experiences in my life, being part of this club. It's been a great experience.
And Doug, we wish you the best, you and Barb. I know you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're touring around the country. Come back and do a program of all of the places you've stopped. And great luck in St. Louis. Okay, and I want to bring you up today too. I got an email from Laura. She's settling in Asheville, and she's doing really well. She hasn't found a Rotary Club as far as I know yet. I think she's visited, but she hasn't settled in the Rotary Club. She's doing well. Somebody who's not doing so well, and you've seen the card going around for Yvonne. She can't be with us today, and Rita's got the background for what's going on with Yvonne.
Hi everybody, Yvonne is fine. I went with her to the emergency room. What happened on Saturday, she'd been cleaning the house, getting ready to do a bunch of other things. The floor was wet where she slipped and hit her head. I saw her the next day after church. She didn't have any bruising. But Monday morning she woke up and she said, my eyes are black. What had happened is that because she's on blood thinner, it had, had some thin blood, and it's kind of migrated down into her face, marring her beauty, and she does not want to be seen yet. But they did a CAT scan of her, or CT scan. Everything was fine. They did blood work, everything was fine. They did some cardio checks, everything is fine. So she's not hurt bad, she's just not real pretty today. So I want y'all to know that everything is fine, and she misses you all and gives her regards.
Will you be seeing her today?
Probably.
Would you take the card to her?
I will.
With her
I
mother,
will.
tell her that.
I sure will.
We don't care if she's bruised or not. We'd like to have her here,
Yeah.
but we
I think she'll be
understand.
back next week.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's see.
So you can tell her she's
You know, I'm so impressed with our club. You know, it's not a huge club, but it's a very active club. And let me give you some idea of some of the makeups that have been going on in the last week or two. Rise Against Hunger. We had over, I think, total of 15 that came out for that between members and family members. The libations was, Rise Against Hunger was 28,500 meals. I think it's almost a record. We might have been one of the years around 30. It was a lot of work, and we're done at 2:30. We appreciate all the help from everybody that was working on that. We had a social get-together at Libations on Thursday. That certainly went well. It was lots of fun in there. I can tell, well, John Crumpton will see the video if he looks at it, but he came in and he did a makeup, but he kept shouting to me across the room, I want 2 makeups, and because he felt that his presence there to be involved with a Tuesday night group that Robert and David played in, and Chad played in there too. It was really fun. We had a really good time at Libations. Pets. Chris was at Pets, and so was David, and I was there. It was a great time. While you're up, can you say a little bit about Pets?
Sure, Pets was really good. What was that, a month ago? Or were we talking about that? Oh, I was thinking of the pre-Pets. Pets was enlightening, and it was a lot of information that we had gotten before at the pre-training, but the interaction with the clubs, especially on the second day from all over the region, and even from out of state. There were people from Virginia, South Carolina there. I walked away with a sense of pride, because it seems to me, talking to the other presidents-elect, a lot of them have a really hard time getting their club members to engage, and they a lot of complaining, but at the same time, it just sort of reinforced how much I enjoy coming here every week, and how much I enjoy hanging out with you all knuckleheads. No. It really is. We've got a great club here. We do a lot of good works, and I would stack this club up against anybody in the region,
I agree.
in the district. It was very enlightening though to see how the other clubs function. And Larry said we don't have a huge club, but I think we are at sort of a comfortable level. So yeah, it was neat.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, we keep the abbreviations, and it's just like the military. But PETS is President-elect Training, and it's also there's going to be a lot more emphasis on not just the president-elect, but the president nominee coming in, because Rotary's gotten complicated. I mean, it's always been involved, but there's so much more going on, so there's a real effort to get the next one in line coming, which will happen. So we did PETS.
Can I add a point real quick too? I also want to say that one of the distinct differences between our club and the other ones is the role that the folks that are the backbone of this club, Larry, John, Nash, Jim, Neil, we have a go-to for every component, and our officers are legit and they do a good job. And that seems to be something that's lacking in some of the other clubs where it's so, well, we don't know. We have to call district, or we have to find somebody. There's not much when it goes to the governance and the administration of the club that group of folks really, really isn't on top of. So give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Chris. We were also represented at the Sanford Gala on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. And Andy, I'm telling you, he bought a lot of tickets for the raffle and all that stuff, and they kept calling his number. Andy, why don't you tell everybody how much stuff you walked off with? You took it away from the Sanford Rotarians.
Yeah. Well, I really didn't buy a lot. I bought 5 tickets for their door prize raffle, and 3 of those tickets won.
Plus, you bid on some other stuff.
Yeah, I bid on something. I don't even remember what it was.
Well, it was an oil change. It was at Taylor's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Character Plus, really neat session the other day. We were gonna have, we had the basketball team come a month ago, and we had, the wrestling team was supposed to be there this month, but the kids couldn't get out of school. The coach came, but the kids weren't able to come. So I called at the last minute, I called Al Rushatz, who everybody knows here was an All-American wrestler at West Point, and I asked Al to come and fill in for us because the kids weren't able to come and demonstrate wrestling and stuff like that. He did a wonderful job. It's amazing to me how you can do this at a moment's notice. I can pick up the phone and all of you will respond. And I think that is really cool. I think that is another way that we're talking about separating ourselves sometimes between an average club and a club that really is active. So, well, I'll let Al at some point in time tell you some of the things that he shared with the kids, but it was really, really good. Spelling Bee. We were represented at the Spelling Bee on Monday night, and could I ask one of the members of our spelling team to bring us up to date on how we did?
May I introduce the shy retiring John Ramsey?
Yeah. I'm trying to do better with public speaking, Robert.
Unaccustomed.
So this you might recognize of a field of 32 teams. This is called a participation certificate, which means it's not a trophy. We did get it. Thank you, Richard.
How many balloons did you have?
Well, you get 4 chances. You get 4 misspellings, and there's literally, gosh, there's probably 50-some words that we spelled correctly. But yes, we did incorrectly spell 4. We get in the top 5 or 10 every year. Last year we were runners-up. Thank you very much. I think that the heavy lifting was done by Dr. Rupert Ainsley and attorney Robert Gilland, and I think Howard Bachhoven and John Ramsperger were moral support. But
Not true.
we did have a lot of fun.
It's a great team effort.
It was a team effort, and I'm kind of hamming it up, but we spelled infinitesimal correctly, Quisling, ameliorate, quotidian, kudais.
What?
We spelled these correctly. Kudais, off-lemedy. I still don't even know what that is. What we didn't spell correctly is keist, taiga, vacillant, and hebdomad. So, no, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. We didn't know those. But thank you to the club.
You know what abdomen is now, though, right?
You know, I still don't, Jim. I still don't know what it is.
It's a great term for a week.
It's a great term for a week?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you have it. Now, the purpose of this, just real quick, is every child born at Central Carolina Hospital gets a book called Goodnight Moon, and the proceeds from this, which is a Delta Rho Society, it's a sorority of teachers locally, goes toward giving a book which promotes reading with every kid at CCH. And I've got 2 kids that were born at CCH. So, thanks, Larry. Thank you for the club for letting us do that.
Thanks, Steve. We did a great job every year. And one other place that we were represented in the last week or 2 was the Lee County Community Foundation Banquet. That went off very, very well, and we wanted to thank the McConvilles who provided dessert. Well, I'm not sure how much Bob did with it, but Ann provided dessert for us there, and it was outstanding. So, anyway, now I want to just give you some updates on some key things for the club. I think we're one of the first clubs in the district to have achieved Gold Club. Oh, let's hear it for Al. I was just bragging on you about what you did with the kids on Tuesday. So anyway, David has sent in the check, or checks for Polio Plus and our sustaining fund. As soon as those get in and get registered, we basically have achieved all the things that are necessary for Gold Club. And I turned in our strategic plan at the President's meeting yesterday. But David, you do a lot of work for us to keep us up to date on these things so that we can qualify for Gold Club every year. So I want to have everybody tell David. Okay, as we continue to stay active, Next Thursday, backpack paddles. We're working with Sanford on this one. We need at least 10 volunteers or spouses or whatever to help pack over 330 backpacks next Thursday from 9 until about 10:30. The more we have there, the faster it goes. So if I could just send this one around. And then, thank you, Minda. And Minda's got, and you'll hear from Minda shortly, the following, or the day before, the Wednesday afternoon, we'll be doing our environmental project, which is another Gold Club requirement that you've got to be involved. Rotary has to take a stand on trying to do something for the environment, and you have to do a project. So we'll be doing the pollinator project, and you'll be hearing more about it at the program. So I want to ask you to sign up there, but a little bit different than the backpacks the next day. The backpacks, you pack all the bags and you're thanked and you leave. When you do the pollinator project, you do all the work in the garden and you get pizza, right? Okay, good. So I'll send this around. Remember, pizza at the end of the afternoon. I wanted to remind you and also send this one around for you to take a look at. District conference this year is the 24th through the 27th of May. It's right next door in Pinehurst. They've worked out some really reasonable rates as far as Pinehurst is concerned. So I want to send you around. This is coming on your computer. If you haven't got it already, this should be in every Rotarian's inbox. And I hope we wind up with 6 or 7 or more. Usually we have 3 or 4. But since this was so close, great golf in the afternoon on Saturday. I hope we get a chance to send more than just the normal 3 or 4 that we normally do. And they're also going to do something new, and I guess they've been trying to mention this at Pet. They're going to have a Rotary Leadership Institute that Thursday before Pet starts and at Pinehurst. So any new Rotarians, and we'll ask you, Rita, we'll ask you to go down. Spencer, will ask him if he can go down. But it's really good indoctrination in the Rotary. Another one of the things that our club is close to being able to qualify for, or it has, our governor had a dog tag challenge. As most of you know, Lloyd Navarro is retired military, and he has really got it in his veins. So he decided he wanted to recognize special Rotarians who've done quite a bit for our clubs and the district with a dog tag that he will have made up for every one of the Rotarians that achieves 4 different things, which include bringing a new Rotarian into the club, being involved in a food project, being involved in polio, financial support, and thanks to David's check that was sent on behalf of the club, but each individual was recognized in the club as being part of that. Anyway, there are 4 people right at the moment that will qualify for dog tags. Bill will get one, Yvonne, David, and Chris will meet the criteria for dog tags. I hope we get somebody else, but maybe those 4 will be the ones that will represent us as far as the dog tag challenge. If Yvonne was here, she would give us the pitch on Beauty and the Beast. That's scheduled for the 26th of August. Now, normally we would have taken the 19th off is our one meeting that we won't meet during the month. But because of the meeting at the theater for the Beauty and the Beast, we will meet on the 19th, but we won't meet here on the 26th. We'll be at the theater. Yvonne wasn't positive, but she thinks instead of a $27 ticket, for us it's going to be somewhere around 22, maybe 21. All the clubs are invited in our district to come. But I told them at the president's meeting the other day, this is a very popular show. And the theater, as you all know, is getting sold out on a very regular basis. So Yvonne's going to have to give a number to Chris and to Peggy early in April, I would guess, so that we can turn the tickets back for the demand that will be on the theater for that particular show. So we hope to have somewhere around 50 or 60 in the balcony. Yvonne's got to set up in the balcony. Okay, and the last thing before I turn it over to our Sergeant at Arms activities, part of the efforts this year in environmental is that every Rotarian is supposed to plant a tree. Any kind of tree, any place. Part of what we're doing next week is certainly going to be qualified for environmental, but what we'll have to figure out, and Minda's going to check to see whether the fire service might have any seedlings that we can just pass out and let you go home and plant a tree. We may have to buy in order to qualify to meet this checkoff for planting a tree. But it's a great idea. And if you read your Rotarian this month, you'll find out why it is a great idea. This is a good environmental publication. And I'd like you to just read it and see what our Rotary International President Isley, why he's doing this, why he's suggesting that we do this. Okay. Now, Sergeant at Arms, who's counting money, or what are you doing?
His other
Are you
job.
calling on me, Larry?
Yes, I'm calling
You want
on
me
you.
to do something for you?
Would you? Unless they got
You
Jeremy.
got it. What?
Say it again, do
All
it.
right.
Will you count?
Thank you, President Larry.
You're welcome, Sergeant at Arms.
Can we plant a shrub or a bush?
All right.
I don't have enough room for a tree.
Just trim the bottom of the leaves.
Okay.
Hang on. Yeah. Of course, I kill those almost instantly. They live for 30 years before I see them.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, today we have some really special guests. Jeremy, you have a special guest. Would you please introduce your guest today?
Well, I have my father here, Larry Thomas, who's was a longtime Rotarian in the Sandley chapter. So I'm happy that he has come today, and hopefully he will be joining in the near future.
Rory, the near future could be, raise your right hand. Whenever
I
you
assured him he wouldn't have to commit today. He still has to speak on it.
Well, let me tell you, the dog tag challenge goes up until April 1st. We got until next month. Okay. Larry, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Larry. Minda, you have a special guest today.
Yes, I have with me today Tracy Bowers, and as we get into the program, she's not only one of my Extension Master Gardener volunteer educators, she's also my particular partner in crime for creating what you all hopefully will sign up to help us with next week. So I'm delighted that she could join us here. She's a wealth of information about this project.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, Doug, hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing us up to speed on what's happening. I'm very happy for you.
Very sad for
Gonna
us.
take out my camper in a couple weeks, but I'm not going as far as Moab, let me tell you. Might get over the other side of Charlotte. Okay, how about any announcements today? Chris? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, yeah. Yeah.
So it hasn't been a very well-kept secret for the last couple of weeks, but today it becomes official. Brandon Atkins and I have bought the Steel Pig. We will be open for dinner by reservation on Friday and Saturday, and on Tuesday it'll be business as usual. We'll be open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Saturday. It's been a whirlwind. This wasn't something that we planned, but we did. It was a measured decision, but it all kind of came together pretty quickly, and everything is picked up steam in the last 10 days. I actually have to leave in a second. We're taking our first food delivery. But I would invite all of y'all to come out and check it out. It will be a I think the thing that we want people most to know is that this will be a process. We plan to do a lot aesthetically inside the building. We're taking the menu kind of back to where it was 4 or 5 years ago. The staples that are there, the shrimp and grits will still be there. We plan to have the best steak in town. But we're excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's quite an adventure, and I'm doing it with my best friends, so it's really cool. And my wife didn't divorce me over it. So if you're coming out to the temple, come on in and check us out. We do have some room left on Friday. Saturday's still pretty well wide open, but yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys out there. Yes, sir.
Who's gonna be the chef?
Not me. Sam Watson is coming in to run the kitchen. Sam actually was there pretty much from the formative stages of the restaurant when Chad Blackwelder founded it back in 2010. Sam is coming back to run our kitchen. It's his game. He's got an experienced line cook that's going to be in there with him. We've got some new additions to front of house staff, but we're really excited about it. And it was Sam in particular. Sam is a seasoned chef that is just the guy for it, and he's as fired up about it as we are.
Thank you, Chris.
I think that probably qualifies as a brag as well, but I don't know that he's got anything left in his wallet.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks for covering for Chris. That really, yeah, I was thinking that too. But anyway, any other announcements? Jim Miller.
There is a sign-up sheet going around for the district Family of Rotary event. Is a Grasshoppers baseball game on the first Saturday in April. I believe the date is the 9th. If you sign up, I'll purchase the tickets so we can all sit together. Unless you don't want to sit with the group. But this week and next week, I'll pass it around, and we'll press on.
Thank you, Jim. Howard.
I had a couple of brags before they get too stale. And first, I got to apologize. I slipped out of here early for an office obligation. But 10 days ago, I was in Florida, and I finished my wild turkey grand slam. And it's not slamming 4 shots of wild turkey. It's getting all 4 species of the wild turkeys that are in North America. So I was down there. While I was in Florida, on my second brag was I harvested a alligator that measured 11 foot 4 inches.
Wow! Wow!
So it was a successful trip.
Thank you so much. Any other brags? Yeah, Neil.
I want to brag on Chris and Peggy and the temple. My wife and I went to see the Church Basement Ladies last Saturday. One of the best shows I ever saw. It took me back to my childhood because I grew up in Minnesota, in a small town in a Lutheran church, and I never ate the lutefisk.
Thank you, Neil. Ed, you got something you're proud of. Thank you.
Chris left anyway. My alma mater is still in the NCAA Purdue, so I don't know how to do it, but they lost the big guy.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it.
I got a quick
John,
one.
yeah.
Do you think with that ringing endorsement that Doug Doris did that I should probably brag about real estate stuff? I just want to brag on Doug. Doug, you've been a fantastic addition to our community. Everyone should agree that not only your leadership with volunteerism and the boards that you served on, it started with CCH. So when you were CEO of the hospital, you really turned it around. It was a total image turnaround, and then you started winning all those awards for excellence and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a void when you and Barb leave. So thank you for what you've given us.
I second that motion.
Yeah.
Any other? Richard.
Well, not to rain on John's parade, but as I came home from work late and took care of my dog, and then Carol and Diana came in, and Carol says, "They're etching our name on the trophy. Willing Hands won the spelling bee." They were so excited.
Thank you, Richard.
Smart
Appreciate
people.
that. All right, any other brags or announcements come from the club at this time? Back to you, President.
One
Larry.
last thing before we turn the program. Patrick, what's Spring Fling and Rotaract plans?
Part of it will be the same as what we originally planned, and the date I think I sent you the date, I don't know off the top of my head, I think it's like April 15th.
I don't have April 15th.
Yeah, but I forwarded you an email from about a couple weeks ago, we rescheduled the date, but I'll send it to you again.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll put a package together because we're really anxious to get a Rotaract Club started out there. And it's not going to be easy, but we need a lot of work, a lot of effort from a lot of Rotarians to make it happen. Okay. Bill, are you introducing Linda, or am I introducing
I'll
Linda?
give her a real brief introduction.
Okay.
I know she's got a lot to cover.
Please
Today,
just
our
say-
program is going to be Minda Daughtry with some support from Tracy Bowers. Minda is also a Rotarian here in our club through Cooperative Extension and our corporate membership. Minda heads up the horticulture program with Extension and has many responsibilities, has been an outstanding team member, has taken the lead on a number of innovative projects, and one of which she's going to talk about today. But her responsibilities include commercial horticulture, which is nurseries, greenhouses, fruits, berries. She's also working with consumer horticulture, which is homeowner questions. Why is my plant dying? What are these bugs invading my house? That kind of thing. So she really does it all. Again, she's a great asset for Cooperative Extension in our office. And I'll turn it over to Minda Daughtry to talk about a project she's very excited about.
Hey, Al. Thank you for letting me talk to you about this project. This project has got a very interesting history, and it kind of started when I started at the extension. One of Bill's first comments to me and the leadership over there. So what you gonna do with that mess in the back? I'm like, what do you mean? What am I gonna do? What mess? So what we ended up doing is master gardeners divided up into 4 groups. We decided we were going to do a pollinator garden, has something that had educational value. It's got a lot of interest these days, and I'm going to go kind of quickly, but what we decided to do is honeybees are not your only pollinators. A lot of people don't know that. So we selected a limited number of pollinators, and then the master gardener volunteers broke down and did some research on what those critters actually needed to be successful. We ended up with a list of at least 150 different plants that would work in our area. There are plants that will not work here, so we needed that information. But like some of your backyards maybe, we didn't have a whole lot of huge space, and it needed to make sense. 150 different species would have been chaos. But so we settled on 46 different species. And as you can see in the right-hand column there, we were looking for plants that attracted bees, wasps, yes, wasps are pollinators, hummingbirds, and butterflies. So here's the list, and we recommend this list if you're interested in planting flowers to attract pollinators to your own yard. So what we ended up doing is solicit. This is a map. It's kind of hard to see, but this is actually the design that was settled on. The group came up with different designs on how to make this particular garden not only pollinator friendly, but attractive. We're on county property, and it needs to be aesthetically pleasing as well as functional. And it's a small space, so a lot of your native plant species can be pretty monstrous. So a lot of research went into this. There are actually 6 beds here and a teaching circle, because we are an education organization, and that's what this garden is supposed to do. Teach all kinds of folks who come through about the value of pollinators to everyday life. 1 out of every 3 mouthfuls that you put in your mouth is thanks to a pollinator. Otherwise it wouldn't be here. Okay, so this is what I inherited. There are actually 21, there's no longer, 21 beds that were part of a community garden back in the day. And the public was, when it started, came in, would kind of adopt a bed and plant a vegetable garden or whatever they wanted to do there. Well, in August, a lot of folks decided, well, I think I'd rather go to the beach. So it kind of got abandoned, and instead of a community garden, it ended up being a weed garden, as you can see. Some of those plants were taller than me, and it never got any better. That's a split screen there to kind of show you what we're looking at. There's landscape fabric in there, all kinds of different weed seeds, and it's surrounded by fields. So it keeps getting populated by weeds, and that's how it ended up looking like that. Each one of those beds were 8 feet by 4 feet. There were 21 of them. They were rebarred into the ground. Every single side. So, saying that, I want to do a shout out of a lot of thanks to Lee County General Services, because, yeah, we were trying to get that stuff out with a crowbar. It's just not happening. And they came over with their equipment and their folks, and they have a whole lot on their plate. I don't know if the folks in Lee County really know what General Services has to do, and there are not very many of them. So we're especially grateful that they really partnered with us on this project. And by the way, that material up on the right is landscape fabric. If you have that in your garden beds, it's the devil. You don't want it?
Yeah, but you have to have that stuff for when you're doing construction, so all the
Silt?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Silt barrier or whatever.
that's a different application for this.
You know what?
No,
You
it's
shut up.
no.
Sit down and shut up, man.
If you have this, you don't want to put it in your garden.
Good idea.
Okay, so with that backhoe and hydraulics and wonderful thing, they ripped out all of that rebar, 21 beds, all those pieces. Tracy's on the left. I'm being manhandled over there on the right. And we had to level out that whole area because soil was brought in, and it was a great project. I think it was a 4-H project, right, Bill? The community garden? And so the signs was cemented in, the rebar, the beds were rebarred in, and the landscape fabric actually had roots down to, I think they were speaking Japanese after a while.
Mindy, where's the picture of Bill?
He's coming. But this was what we were doing, and to level out the whole site, because it did spread out a little bit. And then the next phase in any kind of garden construction is you need to start placing your beds. So this was after we got it all leveled out and raked out. And believe it or not, we couldn't get out every single piece of that landscape fabric because it just kept going and going and going. We got most of it though.
It's like a rabbit.
Yeah, so from that perspective, you can't really see what the beds are going to look like, but we're implementing that design. And again, General Services came in with their fellas again and donated some of this material and the help to put in one row of that inner 2x6s, 2x6s, I think they were.
4x4.
Yeah, 4x6s, 4x6s. Because they had to be sunk into the ground and then rebarred in. There's a walking path around the outside of that garden, so that because it's an educational garden, you need to be able to see the plant signage and the plants from a 360-degree angle to know what you're dealing with. And so folks won't go stomping through the beds and kill everything. So there's Bill. We actually, in order to keep all of this material in place, we needed to rebar it again. And there's Bill and Zach has talked. Zach Taylor is my agricultural agent cohort. And
Marianne Feeble.
And he, these guys actually, we were all hammering this stuff together. Joe Spivey is another one of our volunteers, and he was doing it as well. So this was an effort. Bill did a whole lot.
Al, you might want to get that.
She's insistent.
I'm trying to kill it.
This is another aspect of what had happened. That's Tracy's husband over there, and the paths were dug out by hand, shoveled out by hand. Took several hours to do these inner paths. We moved the soil from the paths and put it into the garden beds. And as you can see, as we go along, a whole lot of work, but the garden is starting to take shape. 10 minutes. Okay, so we're going to fly now, folks. I'm just going to flip through so you can see the process. That's Tracy and me. We're filthy, but good. Now, I want to point out the edging right there. That's really important. That's powder coating edging. It comes from Lowe's. So if you're going to do this kind of project at home, it's easy to use, but make sure you get the math right so you have enough pieces. And as you can see, it's coming through. The shape is starting to really come through from the weed bed that started the weed garden into this. And it takes manpower and it takes volunteers to help, so I'm very, very grateful for all the help we got. And then on planting day, we had the 4-H group come in and help us. We had a local church come in and help us. The master gardeners come in and help us. Yeah, that was, what, 2 tons of rock, 2 tons of gravel, put out by hand with wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow. So we had assembly lines, planting assembly lines and rock assembly lines. It was a lot of work.
Was that crush and run?
Yeah, it's crush and run. So I just want to show you a couple of the pollinators. This garden started working immediately. I didn't expect it for a year, but it started, you know, food source was out there, and the folks came for lunch. So this is a black swallowtail on a lantana, which is a fantastic plant, by the way, for pollinators. Be careful if you select it, because the wrong variety can be as big as a Volkswagen. Okay? This is a great plant as well. This is a bee on mountain mint, Picanthium muteum, which you probably don't really need to know the botanical. But this plant actually was covered in pollinators all the time. It looked like it was alive and moving. So this is a great one. Yeah, or one of the early bloomers. Covered. This is later on in the spring, as stuff's really started to pop through there. Joe Pyeweed, a dwarf variety, and that's Monarda. So the garden is really starting to come through here. And we've got salvias out there that attack hummingbirds. And this, is that a moth or is that a butterfly? Anybody want to put a guess out there?
Looks like a moth.
Who you? Yeah, that's a fiery skipper. Doesn't it look like an F-15? Anybody know that aircraft?
Yeah.
Looks like an
So,
F-15.
so look at his antenna, and butterflies have those nodules on the end, and
Yeah.
moths
Like a
antenna
feather.
tend to be feathery.
So yeah, so we got all kinds of pollinators out there. That's actually a bumblebee on the Monarda. That's a cool plant. And the photographs, by the way, are thanks to Tracy. So there are none of Minda's thumbprints in here.
Minda, next week, do you provide the bug spray?
I can do that. I can definitely do that. Yellow swallowtail on another variety of lantana. This is a hummingbird moth. It's a moth, and it flies like a hummingbird. And actually, the wing on the right looks clear because the scales have been worn off by how many, because it acts like a hummingbird. So many flight patterns. Okay, so again, this is just another variety. This is a verbena rigida. Gets a lot of bees on it. This is your dwarf Joe Pye. Your regular Joe Pye is taller than me, so it's a really good pollinator attractant, but for our purposes, we had a small space. And of course, everybody loves the monarch butterfly. This is on yet another variety of lantana. Bees on Gaillardia, if you have sandy soil, this is important for you to know your soil, by the way. Gaillardia is actually blanket flower, and you find it native in North Carolina on beach dunes. So there's some rudbeckia, black-eyed Susan, and some purple coneflower in there. These guys, I didn't like to see them in the garden. This is a leaf-footed stink bug. So yeah, where there's food, you will have food eaters. So chrysanthemums bloom in the fall. That's another fantastic pollinator. And this lantana is really getting a lot of butterflies. This one is a painted lady. So you can really have a whole lot of variety. That's a cool plant. That is called, it's got a cool name too, rattlesnake master. And it attracts tons and tons and tons of stuff. Okay, so on the left is the Russian sage, and on the right, again, is a different lantana, and Agastache rugosa with a friendly bumblebee on there. So this garden started rocking and rolling right away. You can see. That is North Carolina bumblebee on the scabiosa, or pincushion flower. Great plant, chosen for bees.
And it's already bloomed once this year.
Yeah, it bloomed in the
Started
snow.
early.
So this is your spotted bee balm. You have carpenter bees. Yes, we kind of hate them, but they're also pollinators. So they came to the garden as well. This is a wonderful plant. This is penstemon, and it attracts bees and also hummingbirds. And it's a great bloomer for the garden. Okay, this one is a spiderwort. This is, I think its name is Kate. Trade Scampia, Crazy Kate. This one is Veronica, and it's chosen for bees. This is a wasp on Monarda. So again, different kind of wasp. This is a scolled wasp on boneset, Eupatorium boneset. Blooms in the fall, great white plant, great addition to your garden. And again, 3 different kinds of wasps on that Eupatorium. This one is a gray hair streak, and on the right there is, this is all on boneset, but on the right is a milkweed bug. Asters, this is a Fricardii aster, great bloomer, tough plant, tons and tons and tons of flowers, and very little maintenance. So for those of you who like to set it and forget it garden, this guy's for you. Okay, this one is actually native. Anybody recognize what that is? See it along the roadsides a lot? That's Solidago. It is a late summer, fall bloomer. You see that along the roadside, attracts a lot of bees and a lot of butterflies.
And that is not the one that gives you the allergies. That's the ragweed that gives you the allergies,
Yeah.
so that one's a safe one.
Yeah,
to put.
people confuse them.
So if you have fall allergies.
This is catnip, Nepeta. Really robust competitor plant. So it can take over your garden if you're not careful. But it is also alive, everything from butterflies, bees, cover it all the time.
And it will attract your cats.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it
like
is.
a catnip type
Yeah,
thing. They'll
yeah.
rub on it and go kind of goofy.
This is a Asclepias tuberosa. This is butterfly weed. This one is an annual. It's got variegated leaves, but you can, the straight orange kind is it's called pleurisy root, and that's a perennial. And it was especially for butterflies. A larger view of what's out there. We started with some fillers that were zinnia just for color, and it worked really well. This is calamine. Also, you make tea out of that, and a bumblebee is enjoying that. This is the map. This is how it started. I want you to keep this image in your head of what happens. This is the garden when it's really starting to bloom. You can compare that to what was before, what it looked like. And finally, this is really cool. This is off of Google Maps. So you take the design that these folks did, and then you take the work effort of clearing it, and then you take the effort of planting it, and all of that. And if you can see, it looks like a map.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And coming soon, we're going to have an information kiosk there at the garden, because it's a teaching garden, whether we're actively teaching it or not, with the plant map. And I just want to go back for one little thing here. Those are numbers. So the object here is each plant has a number, and the map coordinates to that list. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt. And we bring in the public and kids to like find this plant, find that plant, and really actively engage them outside. And it worked. So we'll have that. We have plant signage that Tracy is developing that has the QR code on it. So you can put your smartphone up to the QR code on the signage, and it brings you to the website with all the information that you need to know about that pollinator plant and the pollinator that goes along with it. So high tech, yes, I do plants, but this is actually, thanks to Tracy, interactive with technology. And we've got walking maps so folks can do this by themselves, and benches. So if you sign up for Wednesday, this is what you're getting into. This has already made an impact in Chatham County and in Lee County. We've had a chance to teach folks about all these kind of things, and it's spreading. So if you help us next Wednesday, you can say, I had a part of that. So I hope that you do. That's it. See, nobody thought I could do this and not run over.
I know there's questions, but I think we'll have to save the questions for when you come out.
Yeah.
Because I think what we just saw is, yeah, it's great, and we've got 11 volunteers already to come out. But it really is an education thing, because if you're trying to think about what to plant over the next few months, what a great tour continue. So come out and be a volunteer if you can. If not, be sure to come out and visit because you're gonna learn a lot.
I would just like to say that when you show up on Wednesday, the garden's in its winter stage, so you're not gonna see all those beautiful plants and everything. You see a lot of,
Right.
a lot of things that just look like sticks.
How long has it been in?
Last April was when we put it in.
It's amazing.
April 29. Isn't that just, it blows my mind how fast that started working.
Well, thank you again. It was a wonderful program, and we'll be out there to help. And now let's do the 50-50.
Ash, would you be so kind as to pick the winning ticket?
The last four?
The last four are?
8744.
Damn.
Ooh.
Is that you?
Andy.
One more time. No, listen, Andy, you gotta keep, stop doing this. Gee.
Shelter box. All right, let's give Andy a good
Ryan, you took our money. Oh, great, you give it back. Oh, what a good deal.
No pressure, yeah, give it back.
Okay, now the shelter box report from Jim, and then the draw number.
We passed 650 today. Would you come up and draw a ticket for us, please?
Tracy,
Yes,
please.
please.
Absolutely. Should have bought one.
Oh, we can range.
We have tickets for sale.
Do you want to wait so she can get a ticket?
Feel bad if I
Callie
do my own thing.
Ruchens.
Who was it?
Callie.
Oh, my granddaughter.
Your
Oh,
granddaughter.
right.
Absolutely. We passed 650. Keep it going, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. We want to thank those who came to visit, but especially Doug. Again, thanks for your service to this community for so many years and to this club. We are really going to miss you. But, and do you plan to come off the roll in July or?
I don't have a plan right
Well, stay on our roll then, because we want to keep you as a Rotarian.
Yeah, I'm planning to stay on the roll for a while.
Okay, good.
I thought I might say
And Tracy, for you, thank you for being here with us. And we'll be out to support you. Minda, thanks for a great program. Larry, great to see you. I'm so glad. And we got to get Chad back in. This father and son team thing that we're working on is going to be a big thing for us. Anything else for the good of the club? I was going to say, isn't that great to see Bob Joyce?
Yeah.
Well, at 1 o'clock, he's got to get out of here. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, let's do the four-way test. Andy?
And the four-way test of the things we think about your first.
The truth is very well concerned. Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.